Hello, fifth grade, and today we are going to start our music lesson off by taking a look at the music checklist for this week. And this is the same thing that you should be looking at on Schoology. So if we take a look, number one, it says watch Miss Eleniak's video. So if you're watching me talking right now, that is the video that is linked right here at the top. And now, today we're going to continue learning a little bit about Native American music. So last week we talked about it a little bit. We learned a little bit about the history of Native Americans, and we also listened to some of the music. All right, and this week we are going to be doing a coloring glyph. So if we look at our A and B, you see for number one, it says listen to this while coloring your glyph. And B, it says click here for your coloring glyph. So here is the song that or the music that you are going to be listening to while you are coloring in this page right here. So let's take a look at it. It says the Native American glyph. While you listen to the music, use the color key and your ears to help you decide which color is the best to use for each number. So in this example, while you're listening to the music that I just showed you, that is linked in our checklist for this week. So for the number ones, you're going to listen. If you do hear instruments, you're going to color it in blue. If you do not hear instruments, you're going to color it in black. Alright, so for you, when you're doing this at home, if you have a printer, I will link a copy of this file. If you have a printer, you can print it out. If you do not have a printer, there's a few different things that you can do. So first of all, you can open this page up in something like Paint or a coloring thing on your computer. And this is Paint. This is an example of the third grade coloring page. But I can take my little bucket fill tool and I can color it in, or I could take my little pencil tool and I can use that to color in the different shapes. Or you can take the glyph and you can either redraw it on a spare piece of paper and try to draw the same thing as best as you can and then color it in, or you can just trace it by copying it off your computer screen. So there are a few different ways you can color it in today. Alright, I have my little example here, and you can see that I already have some of it colored in. So all of the numbers, or all of these sections that do not have a number, color it in brown. So for example, this top part, it doesn't have a number, so I did brown. And then these two side parts here of the vase, the clay type of color, I colored that in brown as well. So now let's go back to the music. For example, in number one, do I hear instruments, yes or no? So let me open up this music again. Alright, so I can hear instruments and I can also see that she's playing a drum. So I'm going to go to my coloring page. I am going to take my blue marker, since it said instruments, find the number ones, and color them in. So I'm just gonna quickly scribble it in just to show you as an example. There are quite a bit of ones on this coloring page. Alright, so you can see I scribbled in my number ones, blue, because I did hear instruments. And while you're coloring this, make sure you take your time and do as best of a job as you can. Alright, let's look at number two now. If you hear singing, color it in red. If you do not hear singing, color it in pink. Alright, and now number 3 and 4, there are some music terms in here, some music words that maybe you might not be so familiar with. So for the 3s, it says dynamics. So this is something we haven't talked about too much, but in music, if you know what this means, awesome. And in music, dynamics means how loud or how soft the music is. Alright, so let's say when the people in the video, they are singing, Maybe they sing very loud the whole time. Maybe they sing really soft or quiet, or maybe they change. They get softer and louder and go up and down. So let's go back to the glyph here. All right, it says for number 3, dynamics stay the same. So if they stay exactly the same, they stay kind of quiet the whole entire time, then you're going to color it in yellow. If they stay really loud the whole entire time, it's also going to stay the same. But if the dynamics change, maybe they start quiet, they get louder, quiet, louder, and go up and down, that means the dynamics are changing, so you're going to color in number 3's a peach color. All right, let's move on to number 4 now, and our little vocabulary term for this one is tempo. And if you did our lesson last week, you should be familiar with what tempo means. So when we were doing our Chrome Music Lab experiments, tempo was in there. So tempo means how fast or how slow the music is. All right, so if you think about, try to listen to that steady beat in the background while you're listening to the music, and listen, does the steady beat stay exactly the same? Or does that steady beat, is it not steady and it goes faster and then it goes slower and then it goes faster and slower and so on? So let's look back at your coloring glyph. If the tempo is orange, that means it stays the same, and you're going to color in 4 as orange. That means it has that steady beat. If the tempo changes, you're going to color it in purple. So that means it does not have a steady beat and it gets faster and slower and faster and slower. All right, so right now, I want you to pause this video, listen to the music, and go ahead and finish coloring in your glyph. So the empty space is brown, and then listen for the other parts for the other colors. And for me, when I was coloring in my glyph, I listened to this video, I think 2 times. So listen however many times you need to take your time and really color in your picture as best as you can. And when you're finished with your glyph, I want you to take a picture of it with your Chromebook and submit your colored in glyph on Schoology. So maybe you have a paper version, or maybe if you color it in on the computer, take a screenshot and submit it on Schoology. Alright, so right now I want you to pause this video and work on your glyph, and I am going to reveal how my glyph turned out, and I only want you to look at this after you're finished with yours so you can see how my finished one turned out. Alright, so here it is. Here is my finished glyph. So let me go through all the numbers and colors. For number 1, I colored in my number 1's blue because I did hear instruments. Alright, then for my number 2's, I colored in my 2's red because I did hear singing. Then number 3, I colored in my 3's a peach color because I heard the dynamics change. Sometimes they were singing and playing their instruments softer, sometimes they were louder. And then for 4, I colored in my 4's orange because I heard the tempo stay the same. There was a nice steady beat going on in the background the whole entire time. Alright, so maybe your colors turned out a little bit different than mine, and that's okay. Alright, so remember to take a picture and submit that on Schoology. Now I'm going to go back to our checklist, and you can see that there is one more thing, actually 2 more things. So after you finish your glyph, there is going to be a video of a pan flute listening example. So you can click on that and it's going to take you to this video. And just listen to this. Since we're listening to Native American music, listen to it and look at the different instruments that they're using, because they're using like a bunch of different instruments here, and they hold them up to the camera so you can really see them up close when they're playing. Alright, and then the last thing that we're going to look at is these Chrome Music Lab experiments. So for today, you can go to Chrome Music Lab, and we are going to click on down here, the last one, the Melody Maker, and you can just have some fun and explore. So for the Melody Maker, you can click any color in each of these rows, but you can only have one per section. Down here you can play, you can change the tempo, make it faster or slower, and then when you click this little button right between the play and the tempo, it adds some different sounds in here and kind of expands your melody. So go ahead, click around here, and you can experiment and have some fun with the Melody Maker this week. Alright, so that is it for today's lesson, and I will see you next week. Bye!